So I wanted to talk about the idea of bike shedding. It's defined by Parkinson's law of triviality. The idea is that in any complex system, when you're working on it together, people who are non-technical or don't understand that system will focus on tiny details that don't matter. This can often drag out projects and cause massive increases in costs. If you're from Ireland like me, you'll be very familiar with this because our government recently spent 300 grand on building a literal bike shelter in Dublin, which is kind of a funny literal example of bike shedding. There's a sort of developer bias in this, in that we say, oh, well, the technical details are what matter, and therefore people who aren't interested in technical details are wasting our time. But often the technical details aren't what matters. If a developer built a coffee shop, it would be an empty white room with the most up-to-date coffee making equipment possible. It might be a place that coffee aficionados go because they really want the best cup of coffee. But it wouldn't be a place for social gatherings or meeting with your friends and having a coffee and a chat. Most people don't care about these technical details, but we do as developers. It's sort of our entire job. And so we make that the focus of everything. We treat every business we work for as if they're a nuclear reactor or a, highly available service, when often that's not what's really required. It's the values of the product and the way that it's presented to the user that are often important. We're sort of nuclear reactoring this instead of bike shedding it. Essentially, we're treating everything as a complex system that needs 100% uptime and all this perfectionism. There's no point having a service that's up 100% of the time if no one ever wants to use it. And so I think there's a real tendency to focus on all of these technical details that often muddies the water in terms of getting the actual product out there and what the user wants. And so in the vein of asking why, I would say it's probably a good thing to ask what is trivial in our system, and is 100% uptime really required? I've talked to a lot of people who are dealing with this sort of issue in work and with different teams, and it often comes back to they're not delivering value, they're just creating new problems to solve. And I think by doing this and by focusing on the smaller values and the important parts for the business or for the users, you can often differentiate yourself from other developers and find yourself in a much more valuable position for the business. And you can actually get promoted quite quickly if you're willing to ask about different areas. It's the idea of the T-shaped person was something that Valve talked about a lot back when they were hiring in the 2010s. Was a depth of expertise in one area and a breadth of expertise in different other areas. If you can talk about graphic design or UI or UX, or you can discuss, business cases, then you're often more useful in your job than someone who is a very strict technical expert in one area. And so I think for those of us who find that we're not really interested in that expert level of technical expression, it can be very important to try and branch out and experience different areas. So if you're looking at moving forward, often it's a case of branching out more than deepening in and going tunnel vision on one area. Hopefully this helps. Thanks, and have a good one.